Hey, what's up guys? It's Eli and I'm here with Mac. We've got a video for you today that is kind of basic, but that's good. I've been reminded recently that to do a basic video once in a while, because I was teaching about arm bars tonight, and there's a lot of little details that I make assumptions a lot of the time whenever I'm showing something that people like already know. And it's kind of like those things are easy to get kind of glossed over for a long time. I've met purple belts. I didn't hear a little detail that I mentioned before. And it's because there's a lot of assumptions to be made. So I'm gonna try to take this and make not too many assumptions if I can possibly avoid it, and talk about just kind of how we do a straight arm bar. And we're gonna take it from mount today because a lot of the concepts work the same from guard or side control or wherever. So if Mac's on the bottom here and I'm looking to set up this arm bar, the big thing that I need from him in the beginning is commitment, right? I always say this is good Jiu-Jitsu advice, good relationship advice. The more committed I get the person, the more I can manipulate them, right? That's a joke. But whenever he's here and he starts like kind of bench pressing, right? This is great if he just gives me this because he's very committed. If I want to make sure he's committed, that's whenever we start to do this kind of swimming motion and make sure that he's really, really dedicated to that. From this position here, I want to encircle the arm that I'm going to attack. So I'm going to put one on his chest, one's going to circle around it, and I'm going to use that pressure that he's pushing on me and the pressure I'm putting on my hands to slide up into position here, this way. So my knee starts to slide up high on his head here. This knee has to come off the ground by necessity, and then it starts to circle around, and then we wind ourselves up in this S-mount kind of position here. Now, you can do kind of like the training wheels version if you want to, where you like to post and you step around, but it's very clunky, it's very awkward, you're never gonna hit that live. The way you're gonna get it typically is by getting into this nice tight S-mount position. The S-mount, because my legs are curved in this S kind of shape configuration like that. This leg, I'm not sitting directly on his chest. My thigh is on him here, and that's where most of my weight is gonna be, and I'm gonna be leaning slightly forward. You notice that my pelvis here is behind his arm on this side here that I'm gonna attack. My hands are still in the middle, even though I've been talking with him, and I wanna lean all the weight toward that posted leg on his belly, and then this leg becomes very light and it circles around his head here. And then once we get this across, I want my heels to kind of pull in nice and tight, and I'm gonna hug this arm. I'm not gonna grab out here and try to arm wrestle him back, because if he's strong at all, I'm not gonna win that contest. But instead, my hands are gonna slide from off of his chest into this hugging tight position here like this, and unfold his arm by using my body weight with his arm attached to me to extend this out. As I'm sitting back to extend this, my legs are also squeezing in. There's a big part of the arm bar that is not just leverage of like this kind of fulcrum and then a lever over it, but there's also a compression. The compression is taking the range of motion out of his shoulder so that the adjacent joint of the elbow is like fully compromised, right? So whenever we get here, I slide out like this, and then my hand is gonna follow underneath my elbow to find his wrist, one, and then two, I'm gonna come back, get this double grip on his wrist here like this. There's lots of varieties and variations of how you can finish this, but this is kind of a standard, kind of a basic, fundamental way to look at how to finish this arm bar. From this position here, I want this nice and tight. My hips are deep underneath his shoulder, and you can kind of test this out. This is a fun trick to do. If my legs are very relaxed and his arm is very relaxed, and then I just do nothing else but squeeze my knees together, watch his arm, how it raises up, right? So if I hold his arm down and I squeeze my legs, the pressure has to go somewhere, and it goes up the chain to his elbow, and that's what's gonna make that lock happen, right? So once again, now, once we get to this top position and he goes to bench press on me, right? I want to start low so that he has to maximum commitment bench press on me like that. I put the hand in the middle of his chest pointing up, and then I circle around to the side that I'm going to go to. I want to slide that knee high up toward his head, and this one curls around so that my knee and my heel are trying to go together through his head like this, and I'm isolating his shoulders. From here, once I get this high, I'm not hanging out as long as I'm doing this right now to talk to you. I'll do it in like full speed in just a moment, but I want to really isolate this position to show the importance of it. At this point, his bridge doesn't really mean much of anything. If he bridges his hips, I don't really go anywhere, so that's a good thing. Then once I lean forward here like this, my hands still together, I circle around. I don't want my butt to hit the floor before his head is covered. And you'll see this happen a lot of the time when people are doing this, typically by mistake. They'll let their butt hit the ground first, and what that looks like is as I go back, if my butt hits the ground before his head is covered, he's just gonna sit up on me. And then now I'm gonna have less likely of a chance to be able to finish that arm bar. So I don't want that to happen. I wanna make sure that I cover his head before. So the way to do that is to take the weight off of this leg to make it light enough to float around. So I put all the weight on the outside of this thigh over here. I lean, circle around till my feet are close together. I curl my heels in toward my butt through his shoulder. And again, I'm isolating and squeezing, compressing that shoulder here, elongating this way here out on the arm until I find here. A lot of times you'll hear kind of an old school literal rule of thumb. His thumb needs to be in the up direction like this in this orientation. And that typically is good because that means usually when that happens, the well of his elbow is sticking up too. Not always, there can be exceptions, but typically that's what that means. And so I hold here like this, pull this pinky down toward my chest, squeeze my knees together. The very last piece is what people often put in the wrong position, and that's trying to raise up too quickly, too early, right? If you do that before you really have a sufficient squeeze with the legs, you're actually gonna probably give him a chance to turn his arm, hitchhike or escape some other kind of way. So I don't wanna emphasize the hip thrust through the elbow too early. I wanna make sure the compression is there in place before anything else like that happens. Quickly. All that's necessary for this to happen is that his arms are extended out and I'm able to get myself into places where I'm sealing the wedges of his body and the spaces that he's creating and not allowing him to tuck those arms back inside. So as he's pushing here up on me like this, I'm gonna slide up into position, circle around the head, and then I'm gonna slide out, get this arm extended and finish. So probably about that fast, maybe a little bit quicker. I can already kind of feel that a question on this video might be, well, what do I do if he's just not reaching his arms out because he's taken like one jiu-jitsu class ever and he knows that that's not a good idea to do that? Well, that's a good question. So a way that we can set this up instead, there's a couple of really good ones. One that I like a whole lot is if he has the gi, I can put my hand inside his collar here like this way, and I can use that as kind of a can opener where I drive my elbow down into his chest and I curl my hand this way and see what that does to him there. It's gonna raise his shoulder up, and then from there I can start to seal that space behind him, and then I'm gonna bring this one over, circle this one inside, lean all the weight over that direction so that this leg can come across, and then my hand comes out of the collar and I can attack that arm that way, right? So that's a really good one. If he doesn't have the collar, of course, I can just come here, grab the trap very close to the neck, and I can frame down on his neck or even his jaw if his chin is tucked, and then I can manually raise that shoulder on that side, slide up into position to seal that space. Now I need space over behind this elbow, so I'm gonna reach across, pick that up, circle in S grip like that, and now I've got this S mount, circle all the way around here this way. And a good thing to do sometimes in this case is to hold this arm so that he can't immediately like start to spin away or use this arm to protect his arm that I'm actually attacking, because it's not this one. From now here, I can pull that one out, and then again, slide back and finish that arm like that. So, all right, I hope that this is helpful, whether you have done an armbar 10,000 times or you've never done one and you wonder how they actually worked. Hopefully you got some kind of details out of this, and let me know what other details or what other questions you might have in the comment section, and I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it, brother. Keep watching Night Jiu-Jitsu channel, guys.